at this time in my life, it was so dark that I was having these panic attacks, which I had no idea what they were at the time, these panic episodes. And it was just controlling my life. I couldn't go eat in public, or I couldn't go, if we were in a classroom and they were introducing names and tell us a bit about yourself, I would look for the door because I felt like I was going to throw up. I was just a shell of myself. I was in a very dark place. And so one morning I woke up and I had blacked out the night before, and I felt I had such a bad panic anxiety attack. I felt miserable. I couldn't even go down to talk to my friends. I was in such a bad state. So at that point, I remember looking up to heaven and going, Lord, I've completely put you on the back burner up to this point in my life. I have no idea what I'm doing. I have no direction, no purpose. Show me what to do. Take me. What should I do with my life? I don't even know what I'm doing here. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to No Longer Nomads. My name is Josh Doyle, and on this episode, I don't have a guest. It's just me. Some of you guys have reached out and say, we want to know more about you. We want to know who you are. And I'd like to use this episode to tell you a little bit about my story. So I grew up in Colorado and always had a love for the outdoors. I loved going out into hiking, camping, backpacking, all that stuff. I just loved getting out with buddies. Whatever it was, outdoors, I was game. I was always down to get out. And so I grew up in a church. My dad was a pastor of a church in the town we grew up in, Colorado. And so I loved it. I loved going to church. I loved bringing people to youth group. I loved lock-ins. And something about me was I always loved to bring people to church. I always loved to bring people in. And if I got into a room full of people, I don't know. I mean, at a younger age, I just loved to look for those people that were on the outside, or they just felt like they didn't fit in, or a little bit odd. And so many times I would bring buddies or people around my group of friends, and they're like, man, this dude is weird, but I looked for those outcasts. I liked that. I loved to bring them in to my friend circle, and sometimes it went poorly, and sometimes those kids became part of the friend circle. My dad, went from being the pastor to feeling called to missions, and they left the church and started going and were full-time missionaries. And so with that, the church looked at me and my siblings were like, what are you still doing here? It essentially felt like we didn't belong in this church that we grew up in, that we spent every Sunday, every event, everything we could do to get involved, we were involved. We no longer felt accepted at the church. And so that led to me finding new friends and finding friends that are great friends and incredible people, and more friends. And some of those friends led to the party scene and loving that lifestyle of just going out to find the party, loving just hanging out, drinking and smoking. I got really big into smoking pot, and by the time senior year hit, I had smoked so much weed that I was like, I think I'm done. I've had too much. And that was a lifestyle. That was all I knew, and that was normal, to go out and to party and to smoke cigarettes and drink and all that. And so I went down this path that I'm sure my parents weren't proud about. It was normal to me. And, fast forward to college, I'm drinking so much and playing in a band. I had some great friends that we played, middle school shows and high school and, various bands throughout that time. And then in college, we got even more serious, and we're playing shows very frequently, touring around the state a bit and playing with national touring acts at that point. And I loved it. Always, if you asked me back then what was I going to do with the rest of my life, I would say I will be in a tour bus playing music, and that's what I'll do. With that lifestyle came so much drinking that I would black out all the time. And I loved blacking out. I just felt like, hey, let's drink till we just don't remember it anymore. And so there were moments where I would just get super blackout drunk and would just get angry, or these things would come up that I've never felt before. Like I'd wake up and my buddies would be like, dude, you were trying to fight people last night, or you were super aggressive or super angry. And I'm like, me? Like, I never dealt with that growing up. And so all of a sudden I'm like, what is going on? And it really scared me. It rattled me. It woke me up to like, what is this about? So one day we start partying and I completely black out. And the next morning I woke up and had a wicked panic attack and wicked hangover, of course. And at this time in my life, it was so dark that I was having these panic attacks, which I had no idea what they were at the time, these panic episodes. And it was just controlling my life. I couldn't go eat in public, or I couldn't go if we were in a classroom and they were introducing names and tell us a bit about yourself. I would look for the door because I felt like I was going to throw up. I was just a shell of myself. I was in a very dark place. And so one morning I woke up and I had blacked out the night before, and I felt I had such a bad panic anxiety attack. I felt miserable. I couldn't even go down to talk to my friends. I was in such a bad state. And so at that point, I remember looking up to heaven and going, Lord, I've completely put you on the back burner up to this point in my life. I have no idea what I'm doing. I have no direction, no purpose. Show me what to do. Take me. What should I do with my life? I don't even know what I'm doing here. And not too long after that, I just felt like this strong pull to, actually, I ended up moving back in with my parents, which was super humbling. You know, you're playing music and I have a great group of friends. And then all of a sudden it's like, I just feel like I need to go home. I need to reset. And so I did. I went home and reset. And during that time, the Lord completely pursued me. I completely pursued everything I could in the Bible. I ate up as much as I could. I remember that season. It was a very special season because I could not get enough of the word, of the scriptures. I was literally in the morning, I couldn't wait to get up, get out on the porch and just start reading. And I did that. And I just loved reading about the scriptures. Then I started reading literature, or books, and what about God and how to have a better relationship and how to be a better person and whatever. I couldn't get enough of it. And so it was at that time I read a book about missions and people going on the mission field to share the gospel with people in other nations. And it was such I had no idea about any of this stuff growing up, and maybe a little bit, but I read a story about these people in China that would take a piece of a page of a Bible, and it was it was invaluable to them. They were willing to die for it. And they would stream into these homes late at night, one by one, and they'd file in and they would just pray and they'd weep over scripture. And I felt like, okay, those people have it. They know something that I don't. They're real, they're raw. They want to follow this guy, Jesus. And that's what I wanted. I wanted to meet people like that. I wanted to go out and share the gospel to people all over the world. So that's what I was fortunate to be able to do, was to go into missions. And it led me into these crazy, fun, adventurous mission trips all throughout the world, all throughout Africa, through the Middle East. And I loved it. So I was fresh off of the party field and into the mission field. And so at that point, I couldn't get enough. I started taking Bible classes. I loved Bible school. At first time in my life, I'm like, man, I'm actually getting decent grades because I'm connecting. I'm liking this stuff. And it didn't feel like work. It felt like something I wanted to learn. So currently, I've been in ministry for over a decade and been able to travel and share Jesus with people all over the world. And I love that. I've been able to do that. It's been fun. And so, I think that the Lord used a lot of that stuff I went through and to be able to go and meet and talk to people that are, drinking or smoking or this, none of that stuff bothers me. I was around it for so long, and a lot of the people that I did that with were incredible people and still are incredible people. And so I loved sharing with anyone and whoever that would want to listen. So what did it for me though, was I was working in Africa and going on these crazy adventures where we're going into hut after hut and sharing the gospel and working with the Maasai tribe and camping out on islands and just meeting people in unreached, unengaged locations. And I couldn't get enough of it. I just loved that idea of a high level adventure and you're using it for good. You're bringing in, whether it's medical or, we brought in wheelchairs and crutches and all these things where you feel like you're doing good work. And I was pumped. I felt like I had a purpose. And so that was part-time. I thought I still didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. And then one day I was in Lebanon. My dad kept saying, "Hey, I work in Lebanon. You've got to come work in Lebanon. You've got to come do some stuff here." Or I'm sorry, not in Lebanon, in the Middle East. You got to come work in the Middle East. You'll love it. I thought, oof, I don't know about that. So I went to Lebanon and so I'm on a mission trip there, and we're doing an eyeglass clinic. We're handing out free eyeglasses and into the village, and there's about maybe 300 plus people there and long line outside, and there's this man that comes into the eyeglass clinic, and he looks like he wants to kill us. He looks like he wants to blow it up. And I'm thinking, oof, this isn't good. This could end poorly. We're in a clinic that was 100% Muslim and 100% run by Hezbollah, which for people that listening that don't know what that is, that's just a terrorist organization that's in Lebanon. And so what we were doing in this eyeglass clinic was we were sharing scripture. Like we would give them glasses and they would then read like John 3:16, and they'd put on new glasses. Do those work? No. Do these work better? And they were reading scripture in Arabic. And so I just, felt like the Lord was telling me, I felt like the Holy Spirit said, give that man a Bible. And it was this man that looked like he wanted to blow the place up, literally. He looked like someone who wanted to kill us. And just angry scowl on his face, like, what are you doing here? And I just thought, this is trouble. And so I felt, okay, sure, I'll give this man a Bible. And I kept thinking though, Lord, could I give someone else a Bible? Like, look at those sweet women and children over there. They look like they certainly need a Bible. And so I just kept feeling like I need to give this man a Bible. I felt like the Holy Spirit was saying, go, give this man a Bible. So I walk up to him and I'm freaking out on the inside. I'm like, I hope this doesn't go poorly. I'm hearing stories about what can happen especially in a context in the Muslim world, and how it can go south. And I'm thinking, I don't know. I don't know what to share, what not to share. There's so many do's and don'ts in this culture. I didn't want to offend. And so I walk up to him and I say, hey, I have a gift for you. It's an Injil. It's a Bible. And so it was a New Testament that I gave him. And this guy looked at me and his expression softened completely. He said, I've wanted one of these my entire life. I've wanted a Bible my entire life. And tears started coming down his face. And I thought, gosh, this was the first experience I had in the Middle East. And I thought, these people, these folks need the gospel too. And so with that, this man then goes through the eyeglass clinic and he gets his free pair of eyeglasses. First time he's ever had glasses in his entire life. And so he gets his glasses and so he puts them on, and I have a picture. I don't even know if I have it now. I hope I could track it down, but it's a picture of this man wearing his glasses, first time he's ever had glasses, and he's reading the Bible. And it was just a beautiful picture. It was a moment where I felt like, man, this is something I could do. And so that launched me into going on missions and wanting to go into unreached, unengaged people groups and bring people my age to go and experience these high-level adventures that I'm experiencing. So that also launched me into wanting to do some stuff in Israel. And so I was like, how do we get people out there and at my age? And because I had gone on tours, my dad had done a bunch of Bible tours with pastors, and I had gone since I was like 10 years old from time to time, and always loved Israel. And so I was reading a magazine, and it was Backpacker magazine, and there was an article in there. It's like a 4-day journey on hiking the trail. It's called the Jesus Trail. It's from Nazareth to the Sea of Galilee, and it's like 40 miles. And you get to witness the miracles along the way. John 2, where Jesus turned water to wine. You get to see where his ministry exploded in the Sea of Galilee region. And you get to do this on foot. Like, you're not on a bus. You're not going to sites. You're not crammed in with people. You're not going to tourist traps. You're literally in the country, going from village to village, through Muslim villages, through Jewish villages, through kibbutzes. I mean, all of that. It was so fun. And so we go out and scout the trail. We go out and hike this Jesus Trail. And that launched my brother and I, Tommy, to start taking teams on the Jesus Trail and what these trips looked like. And sometimes we still do these if people want to do them. We go out and we hike the Jesus Trail from Nazareth to the Sea of Galilee. We then go down and work with the Palestinians in the West Bank. We give them free eyeglasses and love on them there and share the gospel with them. And then from there, we will then take them down to the desert to camp out with Bedouins, camp out under the stars. It's not a rent-a-tent, Bedouin experience. This is like in the middle of nowhere, and these are real Bedouins. And so we had been doing this, Tommy and I, for a number of years. And the first time we actually went down to stay with the Bedouins, it's a much longer story that I'll probably get into here, but my brother and I, we felt, let's go take folks down to the Bedouins. We got to go stay there. That would be a super fun experience. And so we do it. We go down and we have a team with us, maybe about 20 to 25 people, and we start sharing the gospel with the Bedouin lady. And so we don't have a translator, and we have what's basically like an Rubik's cube with the gospel on it. It's called an Evangel cube. And so we're trying to share that. It's not going anywhere. We don't have a translator, and she speaks kind of like English, Hebrew, Arabic, and gibberish kind of all rolled into one sentence. She's a super charismatic lady, but we just had no translator, so we couldn't communicate at all. And so we're talking in the tent. She brings us food and tea, and we're having a great time with the team. And the team, we all start talking again, and just, it's like, well, this isn't going to get anywhere because we don't have a translator. And so we tried doing charades to share some of the gospel there. Nothing happened. Then she just looks at my brother, Tommy, and she looks at me and she points at us and she goes, I've seen you. And she's like using her eyes and through charades, like, I've seen you. And it's like, me? Us? No, we've never been here. This is our first time coming here. And so she says, I've seen you. You were in my dream last night. And I was told you have a message to share with me. And so anyways, we ended up sharing the gospel with her, and she's become like a second mom to us in the desert. So, that launched about a decade of taking people on the trail and going to Israel and whatnot. So it's been incredible. That's what I get to do. My brother Tommy and I, we are full-time in ministry with Uncharted Ministries, and we also started a business called Uncharted Adventures. And so we do the same thing. We offer these trips to Israel and to other parts of the world, and our team puts together these incredible high adventure, high level trips into areas of the world where you want to go, whether it's Israel and Middle East. We've put together 14er trips here, rafting trips on the Rogue River. And that's something that we're passionate about, is to get people out to adventure. And our slogan is where the Great Commission meets the great outdoors. And we just feel deep in our soul that men, getting out into the outdoors is just like so cathartic. It's so grounding. And so that's what we've wanted to build into our trips. We also offer high-end trips to Israel and other places of the world where you do like 6-star trips, camping out with the Bedouins is what we've done in the past. This probably wouldn't fly on a trip like that. They're staying in hotels that have hot tubs in the room. We're putting together these elaborate dinners and events. And so what we wanted to do is offer all sorts of trips, and it's been incredible. So that's what we get to do for our business. And, I guess to plug that here, sure, if you ever want to go on a trip, reach out. We have incredible hosts that will lead trips, and Tom and I can just send them, or Tom and I will go and be on these trips. Something else about me is just that I'm passionate about business, and I just love I have that entrepreneurial spirit. I've failed at a lot of things. I love to try things. This project here, No Longer Nomads, is just a passion project. It's a fun project. And my goal is just to, hopefully be a place that can encourage men in areas of their relationships that need help. Like, whether it's marriage, whether it's kids, whether it's work-life balance, and just relationships, and how do we leave our mark? How do we leave our mark when everything's all said and done? And so, I am by no means an expert in any of this. I mean, I've researched it. I like it. I study it, and I just hope that together, people that listen to this, we can go on this journey together and discover some of these things. And along the way, hopefully it's an encouragement to people listening. So that's a little bit about me. I'm married. So I met Jess and my wife, Jesse. And so what's kind of fun about that is that we went on a trip to Israel together, and we had gone on a few dates leading up to that trip. And when I saw her in action, when I saw her in Israel, I knew like that first day, I'm gonna marry her. This is it. Like, just knowing it's just so different. I had tried to force things and it never felt right. There was just that uneasiness in your stomach. But when I saw Jess in action, when I saw her in the mission field, when I saw her spirit, who she was as a person, I knew then, I'm like, yes, I've never met anyone like her. And it clicked. It was just something that was so effortless that it just felt like this is what I've been praying for, been hoping for my entire life. So I'm super, super pumped about that. And so once we got married, that trip was in January, and I proposed in summer of June. And as we were planning the wedding in June, we knew we were going to get married quick, and we didn't know if it'd be early next year or what, but we were already starting to plan the wedding out. And her dad we were talking and we're having a conversation. We're trying to figure out, maybe it's at the end of this year, maybe early next. And her dad was like, well, maybe with the schedule with the school for our daughter, and this seems to be a good window, is August. And we're like, okay, so August of next year. And it was like, no, August of this year. Oh, you mean like in a month and a half? Okay. Let's do it. So we had some incredible people that put it together. A wedding that was at a campground, which sounds so romantic, on a campground. But as we went to go find this location, my wife had found this clearing in the meadow, and it was just this like amazing spot where we had rugs along the aisle. We had a cross. We had we're just in this beautiful meadow full of pine trees, and all our friends were there, and it was a super special wedding that was able to come together very quickly. And so then we get married in August, and then in December we find out that we're pregnant. Well, I'm not, that she is, but that she's pregnant. And it's always weird when people say that. Yeah, we're pregnant. You're pregnant, or she's pregnant? Yeah. So she's pregnant. I'm there to support. I'm there to try to help out as best I can. And so it was amazing. It was hard at the same time, because we were like, our life was, let's go into missions, let's launch. We were thinking, shoot, let's live in a van. We could totally tour around the US, and we were planning out our next steps. And the Lord provided our first son, and he's an absolute blessing to our lives. And he came in and changed the way we live, changed the way that we, like, our responsibilities, our roles in life, and just in such a great, great way. So fast forward, I've got 3 boys, and I love it. My wife and I love it. We're a boy family. We have nothing but chaos, and we're breaking up fights, I feel like, all the time. There is, from time to time, there's some love to one another, but man, these boys are full of testosterone, and they love to just beat each other up. They love to run around the mud. They love to they're just boys. They just love boy things. It's funny, we never had to teach them that, but they just are so into that, and we didn't have to teach them that at all. So, with this, when River came along, there was this fear. Jesse entered into even more of a shock and anxiety, and really that took root was a big part of our marriage early on, and still is to this day at moments. And so that, I think, has been a journey that we've been on together that's been very difficult. That anxiety, panic attack, depression, some of that stuff I was going through, I'm seeing it in my wife. And early on in marriage, it was so disruptive at times that it was so hard for her to function, and for her to carry on throughout the day. And it was such a struggle. I kept thinking, like, is this how it's supposed to go? Is this how marriage is supposed to be? Is this normal? Is it me? Am I the problem? And of course, at times I didn't handle things right. I could have handled things better. And same thing goes for her. And we were just figuring out life with a kid, and what do we do? And then we knew we wanted more kids, and it's like, well, hey, let's start having more kids, even though life is hard now. And it wasn't to, hey, that things are going to get better, let's have more kids. That wasn't the thought at all. It was, let's just keep going and try to keep our heads above water. And there were many, many dark, hard moments throughout the next few years of having kids. And shoot, we still want kids. Our kids, they're young. And, we have our oldest is 5. Our middle is, he's, how old is he? He's 3. He's turning 4 here soon. And then our youngest is 2. And so, we love it. We're still in the trenches. We're still having to deal with day-to-day life as parents and young parents with young kids. And we wouldn't change it for the world. What was so hard about this time with Jess is it was such a dark, dark time in our marriage and our life and everything. I mean, every facet of our life just felt like it was rotting from the inside out. And our relationship with the Lord was distant. At times there was just seasons of tension and hurt, and we just had no idea what we're doing. And to this day, we feel like we're doing a much better job, but also we still feel like, gosh, this takes work. It's hard. It's not easy. And so, that's part of the reason why I wanted to launch this podcast. And so, like I mentioned, I am no expert. I have studied these topics. I have read about them. And I have incredible guests that we get to bring on that I think that we can all learn from. But yeah, I just want people to know that are listening, like, I don't come from a position that, hey, this is what you're supposed to do. Because I'm still figuring it out. We're still figuring it out. Parenting, marriage, relationships, that's, I think, what's such a hard thing for men today is we had such close, firm friendships growing up that on the other side of marriage and kids, having a couple hours to yourself to go out with buddies once a week is so foreign. Like, that's something I couldn't imagine doing that. And I always grew up with, and Jess too, and I love this about her, just like a nomadic spirit, just like a free spirit. And so it's a time in our life that we are in sometimes you feel chained to your home, you feel chained to their routines and all that. And it's like, so your relationships suffer, your friendships dwindle away, your connections with people are hey, you maybe connect with them every few months on the phone, and that's about it. And so that's why I wanted to launch this podcast is, how do we get better at these relationships that that are in front of us? Like with our wives, how do we get better at being a better husband? What does that look like? Am I a better or worse husband than the day that I said I do? Parenting, am I a good dad? I hope I am. There's times where I completely lose it and go to bed that night thinking, gosh, I totally screwed that up. So that's a thought too. How do we become better fathers, better parents? It's not going to be perfect. It's messy, just like everything. But how do we get through those hard situations, those messy situations, and come out the other side? And so, yeah, that's the reason why I wanted to start this podcast. I think I'm just really pumped for it. I really think that this is going to be a fun journey. I know that the enemy is good at isolating people, convincing them that they're alone, that there's no one else who will understand them. And so if you're listening and you're in a difficult season, I can attest to the hardships and the struggles, and so that of becoming a young father, that of becoming, in marriage and trying to figure out all the things that go with being a spouse. And so, thank you for listening. I'm super pumped that you're here. I hope that you enjoy these episodes. I've enjoyed creating them with some of my friends, and I just think that hopefully I'll get better at what I'm doing, and it'll be better content for you. And so one of the goals of mine is to create a safe space for men to come and feel like they can connect with other dudes. And we're in this together. We're not trying, like, none of us come to the table with it all figured out and everything answered. We're figuring it out day by day, how to be a better follower of Jesus, how to be a better husband and a better father, and better in the workplace with some of the relationships that we've been given. So yeah, my call to action to you, I guess, is just to reach out. I'd love to get to know you, love to hear from you. Go to our website. It's nolongernomads.co, and we'd love to connect. I'd love to connect here, how we can help you, what kind of content would be helpful and beneficial to you. And shoot, if there's issues or things you're going through, difficult seasons, reach out. Love to connect and offer up any sort of advice or prayer or anything that I've got, not that I have it, completely figured out. So, yep, I've been harping on that a lot. If you hear me clearly, I come from this imposter syndrome, position. So, thanks so much for listening. I'm so glad that you tuned into this episode. There'll be more that I do where I hop on myself and dive more into scripture or more into things that I'm working through or different messages. And that'll do it for this episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. Come back next week. My name is Josh Doyle. You're listening to the show No Longer Nomads, and I'll see you on the next episode.